Hi, this is Drew Tignanelli. This is our April 2026 update. Enjoying tax season there, Mikey.
It's great. We're seeing the true the efforts of our team and everybody on the team working really, really hard and trying to serve our clients the best we can, which is what it's all about.
Yeah, well, I think our setup this year is really good and we're getting through.
And the weather's changing. It's getting nice, at least up here. It's been nice down there.
Well, that is true. Um, so what's on our topic today?
So the two educational pieces we have coming out this month, Chuck Bender wrote a great article when 90% of your wealth is riding on one stock. So go ahead and read that article to learn more. But it's about, every once in a while a client comes in or a prospective client and they have a large concentration of all their money in one company. A lot of times the company they work for us up in here in Hunt Valley, McCormick, man, we see that a lot, don't we?
That's
Uh,
who Chuck used to work for.
that's who Chuck, I forget, I always forget that.
Yeah.
And then we have a video that's already been out for a couple days now, but worth a watch. It's, what does the Middle East conflict mean for your portfolio? And that was done by Chris O'Shea, our chief investment officer, who got interviewed by Alex Sunners on our team. And it kind of gives you a good insight as to what to be thinking about times like these. And we're going to cover a little bit more of that with investments. So,
Yeah.
and then as always, if you listen to the podcast or you listen to the radio show live on 680 FM up here in the Maryland area, just a reminder that anyone can submit questions to questions at moneyrichesandwealth.com. And then you'll get a response back. If you want to send it to somebody else, they'll get a response back. And then also you can hear us or Drew really and team talk about that on the show or the podcast, however you get that.
All right, so markets going up and down, trying to feel out what's going on in the Middle East. But for the most part, they've been quite quiet, as compared to what you would expect.
You watch the news, you'd think it was, it was something other than that. But markets are trying to see through the current, events and try to price in the future. They are looking out to the future and trying to price that, but they're trying to do it without overreacting to the short term, which is, the same way you should think about your portfolio when it comes to kind of risk exposure. One of the things we talk about a lot is what are your 7-year cash needs? Now, if somebody's listening to me thinking 7 years, I don't know what I'm going to need in 7 years. Well, we're talking about whatever it is that you can predict. If you know in 3 years, it's going to be time to replace the car, that. If you know in 7 years, you're going to start retirement, well, then that's kind of those big things we know about that just like the markets are trying to look to the future without being overly sensitive to current events, you need to look at your portfolio when it comes to how much cash you need and how aggressive you should be in your investing. And that's something you can always talk to your advisor about.
Yep. And if you think about it, it's not like this conflict is the first time the markets have ever seen a conflict.
Yeah.
So,
Say what you normally say, Drew. It's never more true than it is today.
well,
You said it
it's
through COVID.
you
You
don't
said
know
it
the end
through.
of this. You don't know the end of the story of this one, so it seems more serious than the ones that you know the end of the story of.
Yeah. And I think some of our clients might recognize, I'm in my 40s or just in the beginning of my 40s. We all went through COVID, and that was one of our big, kind of life-changing events of, oh, how bad could it be? And after a while, you start realizing something horrible happens like every 3 or 4 years. Um, it doesn't change the human tragedy, but from a standpoint of planning your money, it's always important to have that longer time view. And then something I talk about, Drew, every time is, we're always trying to predict what's going to happen with interest rates because it is such a big factor in the economy. Consumer price index has stayed about the same, but we don't have a lot of direction as far as what where interest rates were going to go. We've all been anticipating that they would start coming down soon, but at least in the immediate future, we don't have any clear vision on that.
A lot of people have been worrying that the price of oil and gas are going up right now because of this conflict and it's going to be terrible and it's going to raise everything. But you think about it, price of oil and gas came down tremendously, and the rate of inflation just kind of barely ticked down even a little. So, oil and gas isn't the driver of inflation. There are a lot of other factors that make up what happens to that index. So anyway, what are our topics? We have a literacy month, right?
Yeah, April is National Financial Literacy Month.
I'm
And
glad you knew that.
well, yeah, me and Google, we both knew that. But I think it's great that there is National Financial Literacy Month because I have some bad news for everyone. The schools cannot be relied on to teach the next generations about money. They're not even, they don't have home ec anymore. They don't learn how to, at least not in a lot of schools, a lot of public schools, balancing a checkbook, all of those important things aren't there. So we wanted to use this month's video as a call to action that if you have younger people in your life, whether it be children or grandchildren or nieces and nephews, or the kid down the street that rides his bike past your house every day, there's always that opportunity to make the world a better place by teaching financial literacy. It can be very, very small lessons, but if we can all just kind of lean in and try to impart, to the next generation, that can be a big thing.
I mean, there are little things too, Mike. Like you go to the grocery store, you go to the store and you buy your kids some stuff and you take out that piece of plastic and you hand it to the cashier and you buy something. Financial literacy month. Say to your kids as you're walking out of the store, do you realize that I have to come up with hard-earned cash,
Yeah,
pay off that piece of plastic at the end of the month,
I've been working with my girls on the association of dad leaving for work and the plastic card still working.
Lots of different things. So there's lots of little things. I got clients that set up accounts for their kids to trade some stocks and learn about indexes or an individual company or something like that. So there's all kinds of little things that you can do. It doesn't have to be a whole, classroom type
It's better
situation.
in small bites, but
All right.
so everybody thinks about April, they think about taxes, but the thing that is easily missed is a lot of focus in April is about getting that 2025 tax return done. But at this point in the game, it's time to start thinking about 2026 and learning from 2025. What missed opportunities did you find out about in your tax return that maybe we can do better this year? Also, what things did you do last year that really helped your tax return that it's time now to make a plan for? If you did qualified charitable distributions last year, man, let's start making the plan for this year for when and how we're going to do those.
Yeah,
Uh,
when we're preparing a tax return, Mike, we're not only trying to get the information in correctly, we're not only trying to tell the client that there's still things they may be able to do between now and April 15th, but we're also looking at the return saying, gosh, if we would have done this last year, it would even have been better this year. And
right.
so we're pointing the client in those directions for 2026. So you're absolutely right that it's not just get your return done. It's look at that return, figure out what's going to make 26 better.
Absolutely. And speaking of what to look forward to, in the month of July, Drew and I are going to talk a lot of trying to educate people about the new Trump account. But there's something they need to know this month. So right now, if you have a child born in your life last year, 2025, or this year, 2026, and this advice will carry forward up till the year 2028. There's this thing called the Trump accounts that's come out. It's going to be available starting in July. And there's $1,000 of seed money for children born in those years. That in order to get, there's a form. It's called the form 4547. But don't remember that. Remember trumpaccounts.gov because that's the website that at the moment is the best and easiest way to sign up for the children to get this benefit. So whether it's your child or someone else in your family that you can help educate about this, it's $1,000. I don't know why you wouldn't
If you
do it.
don't do it, you don't get it.
You don't do it, you don't get it. So,
And also, if you do it, Michael Dell and his wife put up another $2 billion or something that if your child was born in a certain zip code, they're going to dump another couple $100 into the account also. But it depends on your zip code as to where you live, as to whether you're going to get that Dell contribution.
Yeah.
So
Um,
it's important to do, very important.
but as we talked about thinking about 2026 for your tax planning of what to do for this year, one of the things that a lot of people with young people in their lives consider doing is donating to 529 or donating, gifting into 529 plans. And for 2026, that can still be a great strategy. But if you have a finite amount of resources that you're going to put towards something like a 529 plan, it might be good to wait or get educated on the Trump account and the difference between a Trump account and a 529, and then decide based on your family's values which makes more sense to contribute to. Well, we're going to go through all this in July, but the biggest difference is the 529 is for education only. The Trump account at age 18 can be used for anything. So, could be a number of reasons to decide one another. But we promise in July, we'll give you a full rundown of what the Trump account
There's
does.
a third one too, Michael, the Uniform Transfer
Oh,
Miners account, the UTMA.
the
So,
UTMA.
and that's a totally different type of account, comes with its own positives and negatives. So we've got three different accounts that you're going to be able to think about. Each one needs to line up with your goals and objectives for your children. Matter of fact, the Wall Street Journal just wrote an article about Trump accounts and how wealthy families are going to use Trump accounts to grow millions of tax-free dollars for their children. And they're right.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
exactly what
we
they're
don't
going
we
to
don't
do.
write the code. We just try to educate people on what's best for their each individual situation.
That's right. Anyway, Mike, we'll do that in July. We're out of time. This is Drew Tignanelli saying God bless.